श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पश्यत्यादि सतारिणे। जयो जयो गौरा चांदे आरती को शोभा। शिव जयो जानवी ततवने जगमन लोभा। जानवी ततवने जगमन लोभा। शिव दकीने नीताय चान बमे गदोदारा। निकाते अद्वैताशिनी वास छत्रधारा। शिव बोशियाचे गौरा चांद रत्ना सिंहासने। शिव बोशियाचे गौरा चांद रत्ना सिंहासने। शिव बोशे आरती को रे ना ब्रह्मा आदि देव गाने। आरती को रे ना ब्रह्मा आदि देव गाने। नरा हरि आदि कोरी चमार दुलाया संजाया मुकुंद बसु गोसु आदि गाया शिव शंका बजे घंटा बजे बजे करो ताला शिव शंका बजे घंटा बजे बजे करो ताला बजे मधुरा मृदंग बजे परामरसाला शंका बाजे घंटा बाजे माधुर 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 बाजे 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 शंख बाजे घंटा बाजे माधुर 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 बाजे शंका बाजे घंटा बाजे माधुर 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 बाजे शंका बाजे घंटा बाजे माधुर 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 बाजे निताय गौर हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल किब बहु कोटि चंद्राजिनी वदन उज्ज्वला जिनी किब बहु कोटि चंद्राजिनी वदन उज्ज्वला गाला देसे बाना माला कोरे जालमा शिवा सुकाना राधा प्रेमे गद गदा भक्ति विनोदा देखे गौरार संपादा शिव जयो जयो गौरा चांदे आरती को शोभा जानावी टाटवाने जगा मन लोबा जयो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद जयो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद श्री Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare
Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Nitai Gaura Sundar Jaya Nitai Gaura Sundar Nitai Gaura Sundar Jaya Nitai Gaura Sundar Jaya Gaura Nitai Jaya Gaura Nitai Jaya Gaura Nitai Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath Swami, Jai Jagannath. Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra. Jagannatha Swami Nayana Patagami Bhavatu Me Jayo Radha Madhava Shri Radhe Radha Madhava Shri Radhe Jayo Jayo Prabhupada Jayo Jayo Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल ताय गौर प्रेमानंदे लीला प्रविष्टो विष्णुपाद परम सपरिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सतश्री श्रीमद अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शिल प्रभुपाद महाराज की जय। नित्य लीला प्रविष्टो विष्णुपाद परम सपरिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सतश्री श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद महाराज की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नमाचार्य शिला हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। गंगा माई की जय। यमुना माई की जय। भक्ति देव तुलसी महारानी की जय। समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय। चिंताय गौर सुंदर भगवान की जय। जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी की जय। श्री श्री राधा माधव भगवान की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Prahlada Hlada Daine Hiranyakashipurvakshaha Shilatankanakalaye Yito Narasimha Parato Narasimha Yata Yata Yami Tato Narasimha Bahir Narasimha Hrudaye Narasimha Narasimha Madim Sharanam Prapadye Tava Kara Kamala Varenakam Adbhuta Shringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanu Bringa Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare तव कर कमलवरेण कामाद्भुतशृङ्गाम् दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तानुभृङ्गा केशवधृता नरहरिरूप जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे केशवधृता नरहरिरूप जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज
सर्व विघ्न विनाशक नरसिंहदेव भगवान की, प्रहलाद महाराज की, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की। Hare Krishna. Welcome to ISKCON Baltimore, New Kulina Gram Dham, abode of Shri Shri Nitai Gaur Sundar, Shri Shri Radha Madhav, Jagannath Baldev Subhadra, and our dear most Srila Prabhupada. Let's give big round of applause to our pujaris for doing a very beautiful dressing. Big thank you to all the devotees who participated in yesterday's program. We had such a wonderful Rath Yatra, a big turnout, and we were very happy to take 2 buses. So let's give a big round of applause for all the devotees. Hari Hari Bol. So as you know, our Lord Jagannath has traveled to New York for Rath Yatra. Lord will be coming back tomorrow. So just letting everybody know. We have one sponsor today. Srinivas Potu Prabhu is sponsoring for his wife's first death anniversary. Mataji passed away due to prolonged illness last year. Is Srinivas Prabhu here? So looks like Prabhuji is not here, but we're gonna chant Hare Krishna 3 times. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So next announcement is regarding our upcoming festivals. So our next big festival which is happening here we have been announcing about Madhav Mela Kirtan Festival. So that would take place on June 24th, 25th, and 26th. So on June 24th, we'll have a nice Adhivas ceremony. Adhivas ceremony is basically invocation of auspiciousness, and it involves a special kirtan. So we'll have all the programs here at our temple. And Adhivas ceremony, most probably we are seeing if the weather permits, everything is good, we might do in front of the temple. It will be in the evening, so I know most of you are working. So the program is as follows. We'll have Harinam in the evening, first in downtown for about hour and so. And then we come back about sunset time. That's the time we'll have Adhivas ceremony. Next day, on Saturday, we'll have a program, Kirtan, 8 hours continuous Kirtan. That would start in afternoon. That's around 12 o'clock. We'll have Kirtan up till 8 o'clock in the evening. And then Prasadam served. All 3 days, Prasadam will be served. And then on Sunday, let's welcome His Holiness Romapad Swami Maharaj. Haribo. So on Sunday, we'll have the main day, the main ceremony. This whole program is in conjunction with celebrating fifth anniversary of installation of Sri Radha Madhav over here. And also this happens to be ISKCON Baltimore's 50th year of incorporation. So this 3-day festival is because of that. So on the Sunday, we'll have the program starting at 10 o'clock in the morning. The Kirtan will start at 10, and we'll have a nice Maha Abhishek of the big deities, not the small Utsav deities, but the big deities that you see, Radha Madhav. We'll have a program over here, Abhishek starting from 12 o'clock, and then Kirtan will be going on parallelly. So the program will go from 10 to 2, and after 2, we'll have program feast. That day, we'll have no Sunday program. So please note that. Also requesting all the devotees, we need an estimation of how many devotees are going to be there. So we have set up a website called madhavmela.com. So if you can go to the website, it's a free, there is no registration. It's just for estimation of guest estimation, how many guests are coming. So we can manage the crowd as well as the prasadam. So it's a free registration for all 3 days. If you can just go register and let us know how many people are coming, so it will help the cooks estimate for prasadam. So that's the festival on 24th, 25th, and 26th. And next, today happens to be actually the Chida Dahi festival. And I know that most of us, we went for a New York Rath Yatra, and devotees are tired. I see a very low turnout today. So we'll be celebrating the Chida Dahi festival actually next Sunday. So please be there. It's another special festival. That was supposed to be, it is originally today, but we'll be celebrating next week because we want all the congregation members to be present. So that is on Sunday, June 19th. So please be present over here. Also, I would like to welcome Vivek Prabhu to make a short announcement.
Hare Krishna. So I'll not take too much time. So from Monday onwards, that is tomorrow, we are having an online course which we are starting. It is called the Journey of Self-Discovery. Many of you might be aware. This has been put forth by very, very advanced and senior devotees, especially in India, where they have spent a lot of time, probably 2 to 3 decades, trying to come up with the essence of Bhagavad Gita in a very understandable and simple format that many of us can understand. Some of the topics are like searching for happiness, who really am I, why do bad things happen to good people? These are the questions that usually come into our mind, but we don't really try to seek answers for it. So this course has been put in a very interesting a scientific and a very practical way that all of us can really understand. Many of us, like myself including, we attended this few years ago, and it really changed the way or the perspective at which we look at our life. I sincerely request whoever is new, or we are practicing, or we are seeking to practice, it doesn't really matter. There are no pre-qualifications to attend this particular 6-day session. It's completely online over Zoom. If you're interested, please register. I'll be standing outside. You can just give your phone number. We'll directly add you to the WhatsApp group. And the timing is 7:30 to 8:30 evenings. So you're probably off of your work. So you will not regret after attending this course. Your entire perspective will change, and this will extend to your family members too and your kids. We promise that there will be something to take home for anyone who attends this, even for a day. So I'm kindly requesting even some of you to please kindly register this, and everyone will benefit. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Vivek Prabhu. So let me introduce today's speaker. We are very fortunate to have His Holiness Rompad Swami Maharaj. Rompad Swami Maharaj is an initiating guru in the ISKCON and one of the leading disciples of Srila Prabhupada. He has been Bhakti Yoga practitioner over 50 years. He travels extensively across continental US and Asia, giving invited presentations and workshops at universities, corporates, communities, yoga and other cultural centers. He has lectured on Eastern and Western philosophies at universities in United States, India, Europe, various places, and we are very, very fortunate to have Maharaj here today. So please, let's welcome Maharaj with a big round of applause, and let's listen from Maharaj. Haribol.
Is there a mridanga player? Okay, you're the mridanga player. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Radha Kunjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivardhari Jasodanandana Prajajanaranjana. Oh. Jasodanandana Prajajanaranjana. Dana Prajajana. Jamunatira Vanachadi. Tira Vanachadi. Jamuna Tira Vanachari Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivardhari Jaya Jasodanandana Brajachanaranjana Jasodanandana Brajachanaranjana Jamana Tira Vanachadi Tira Vanacha Jamana Tira Vanachadi Tira Vanacha Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajakacharya Astatara Satasi Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Gaur Premanandi. Now those of you that are sitting way over on that side are going to have a hard time seeing this little screen over on this side. Now it's up behind me? Oh, it's up there. Okay. And over there. Okay. Phew. That's a relief. Okay. I heard the announcement, and I actually heard in the car on the way over here too, that next week you're going to be observing this Chittadahi festival. And if you have looked at the Vaishnav calendar, today is the day on our Vaishnav calendar that in India, in Panihati, they're observing because it's the calendar day, the lunar calendar day, when the Chittadahi festival was observed. So I thought of a little bit of a creative way to discuss the topic, because the topic focuses on Raghunath Das Goswami. Because Raghunath Das Goswami at the Panihati festival got a lot of mercy. And one of the most important parts of that mercy, we'll hear some of the other ones as well, but through the mercy of Lord Nityananda, he got the association of Lord Chaitanya. And for the next 16 years of his life, Raghunath Das Goswami was in the constant company of Sarup Damodar, because Lord Chaitanya assigned him to be in the care of Sarup Damodar. And for 16 years, those years that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was exhibiting otherworldly symptoms of ecstatic love for Krishna, Raghunath Das not only was present to observe all those things, but he was intimately and in detail instructed by Sarup Damodar how to understand, and many other things. So it's the importance of the Chittadahi festival, of course, is the Chittadahi, but it's the mercy that Raghunath Das Goswami received from Lord Nityananda. And it's a spiritual understanding. There's other examples as well. But to get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, you know now what to do. You get the mercy of Lord Nityananda. Then you get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. So that's what happened in the Chittadahi festival. Here's an image showing Raghunath Das's renunciation. As you know, he was born in the Majumdar family, which at that time was like the Birla family or something. One of the wealthiest families in all of India at that time. and he left it. He had no attraction for it. He struggled to get away from it. Here, the painting is showing him having his meal from the discarded rice from the prasadam stalls. When it would spoil, they would give it away. They would sell it, and then they would give it away. And when it was rotten and spoiled, they'd toss it by the side of the Jagannath temple for the cows to eat. And what the cows wouldn't eat, that's what he would eat. But he washed the spoiled rice grains, so the spoiled part was washed off, leaving the uncooked core kernel inside, and that was his meal daily. And there's several steps in between, but I'm not going to go there because of the time constraints. It's an image showing the intensity of detachment and tapasya that he voluntarily observed. No one asked him to do that, but that was his mood. You see the duration of his life. He lived a long life, 92 years. 31 of those 92 years were just leading up to the Panihati Chittadahi festival, where he was a young man and then a grahasta, and then he left home. 16 of those years were in Puri, and then the remaining 45 years were in Vrindavan, residing at Radhakund. A little background on how he got Lord Chaitanya's association twice, very briefly. The family priest of the Majumdar family was Balaramacharya. Balaramacharya was a disciple of Yadunandan Acharya. Yadunandan Acharya was the family guru. Yadunandan Acharya is the family guru of Raghunath Das's family, and he, Yadunandan Acharya, was an intimate disciple of Advaita Acharya. So Advaita Acharya, Yadunandan Acharya, Balaram Acharya, Advaita Acharya, Yadunanda Acharya, Balaram Acharya, and Balaram Acharya and his guru, Yadunandan Acharya, they lived nearby at Chandpur. So one was the guru, and the other was the family priest. He did rituals for the family, Balaramacharya. And the first time that Raghunath Das met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, first he got the mercy of Haridas Thakur, because Haridas Thakur, those of you that have read Chaitanya Charitamrita, you know that he was invited by Balaramacharya to reside with them, he and his spiritual master, Yadunandan Acharya. And when Haridas Thakur stayed at their home, Raghunath was fortunate enough to receive Haridas Thakur's mercy. And it is said by his biographers, it was the mercy of Haridas that started the spiritual journey of Raghunath Das, the mercy of a devotee of the Lord gives one bhakti. Then, some time passed. He was very young at that time. When Lord Chaitanya, after taking sannyas, he was redirected. Instead of going to Vrindavan by tricks, he was directed by Lord Nityananda to the house of Advaita Acharya in Shantipur. And while Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was at the house of Advaita Acharya, just after taking sannyas, staying in Shantipur, the Majumdar family, because of that connection with Yadunandan Acharya, they came to know Lord Chaitanya is staying at Advaitacharya's home in Shantipur. So they went. And when they went, because of the affection that Advaita Acharya had for Raghunath Das, little boy, young boy, he made sure that every day he got Mahaprasad from Lord Chaitanya. Fantastic. Fantastic. Then, after some time, Mahaprabhu left Shantipur at the request of his mother. He went to Puri. That was his first meeting, taking the Mahaprasad of Lord Chaitanya just after his sannyas. Some years later, when he was 19, Mahaprabhu came for a second time. After going to Puri, stayed for some time, went to South India for 2 years, came back to Puri, and then made a journey heading for Vrindavan. Only he kind of took a detour because he was planning to go meet Rupa and Sanatan at Ramakeli, and on the way he stopped at Shantipur. So in the second time, after visiting Shantipur, returning towards Puri from Kanai Natashala, there's where Raghunath Das met him again for the second time. Now, after the first meeting and just getting Mahaprasad, Raghunath Das was over the top with wanting to leave his opulent situation and be with sadhus who were living very, very simply. He wanted to be with Mahaprabhu in Puri because he knew Mahaprabhu had taken sannyas and was going to Puri. So when he went to Shantipur, the second visit, he arranged some time where he could speak with him and appealed to him, please take me with you. Please give your mercy so that I can be with you in Puri. And he's a householder, very beautiful, very virtuous, very chaste, very qualified wife, young wife. And here's Mahaprabhu's words to him. Calm yourself and return home. Don't be foolish. It takes time to cross the ocean of material suffering. Don't make a show of monkey renunciation, markanta vairagya, simply for others' benefit. Enjoy the worldly life in a moderate way without attachment. Be fixed on Krishna internally while externally dealing with the world in the appropriate fashion. It will not be long before Krishna delivers you. That's an instruction. In other words, time is waiting. In time you can come and be with me. But for now, your instruction is externally live moderately, not extravagantly. Live moderately in the world as if you're a worldly person, but internally you cultivate your attachment to Krishna. And in time, Krishna will deliver you. That was the instruction. So he went back, and he was peaceful for a while, And there's an example that's given to show he wasn't, as a renunciate, it's not like he was incompetent in a bungling personality. He was incredibly competent. And an example is given. One example, one can imagine there were many examples. The Majumdar's family's wealth had to do with, they were landholders collecting taxes from the people who were working the land, the agriculture people, etc. And the usual system is the Nawab, the Pathan ruler, had a tax collector representative, a Chaduri, who was the intermediator. So the landholders paid taxes to the Chaduri, and the Chaduri gave his a share to the king. but he kept something. So Majumdar family had bypassed the Chuduri. They just paid their taxes in the same ratio that the Chuduri paid taxes to the king. They cut him out. So they had their own profit plus his profit. And the Chuduri didn't like it. He came to know. And when he came to know, he came with a plan to arrest his father and uncle. When he came to arrest his father and uncle, they knew he was coming, so they head out of town. And when he came to the Majumdar family's home, Raghunath Das said, my father and uncle aren't here. So he was put in jail. And every day, the Chuduri came and was saying different things, intimidating, you know, what somebody wants some money, they can do. They got somebody in jail, he did whatever he could to get the money. You know, get your father and uncle to give me the money and stop this, you know, cutting me out of the money that I deserve. So Raghunath Das, there's details of what he said, but he said something to the effect that you're like my father, you're like a family member, because by age and by relationship and by occupation, you're very, very similar to my father, so you're like my father, and I look to you like my father. So, like, look at me as your son, and as your son, we'll figure out some way, so kindly release me from jail so that I can make this arrangement. And he being not what he said, but Raghunath Das Goswami's demeanor and character and manner of speech was such that the Chuduri was ready to slam him, instead began to cry. It's described with tears rolling down his beard, because he didn't have cheeks, he had a big beard. Please do the needful, because I don't want to harm you, I don't want to harm your father and uncle. So he brokered an arrangement by his very expert diplomacy. He had no interest in worldly things, but the point is this. He had no interest in worldly things, but he knew how to do worldly things. So some people that don't like to do worldly things don't like to do worldly things because they're incompetent and they know it. So they like, oh, the grapes are sour, you know that one. But he wasn't. He was very capable. So he spent some number of years living like that. But after some time, he again became restless and started to run away. Whenever he could, he would. But his father would then send soldiers and bring him back. And so many times it happened, so many times it happened. So he then understood, I can't do this on my own. I need the mercy of Lord Nityananda. So he heard that Lord Nityananda was traveling. By this time, you may recall, Lord Chaitanya, the devotees were going to visit Lord Chaitanya annually to attend Rath Yatra in Puri, stay for 4 months of the rainy season, then come back. And after some time, Lord Chaitanya told Lord Nityananda, don't come back. I'll give you some of my followers to be with you, and you go all over Bengal and distribute the holy name. Broadly, widely, this is the service I want from you. And he also instructed Nityananda Prabhu to become married. Nityananda Prabhu took the marriage part as like a punishment. all your main followers, they're renunciates. Lord Chaitanya said, I just see you that way. In other words, it was part of his Leela. Mahaprabhu took sannyas for a reason, and Nityananda Prabhu accepted Grihastha ashram for a reason. Lord Chaitanya ordered him. So he went back to Bengal and was traveling here and there with many, many, many devotees in a state of madness, distributing love of God through the chanting of the holy name. That was his activity. And sometime later, he stayed in Panihati at the house of Raghava Pandit. So I'm going to say a few things now about Raghava Pandit because it's important to understand the situation. These directly from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj describes, even after Mahaprabhu remained permanently in Puri, his divine appearance took place in 4 places. Sachi's house, wherever Nityananda was dancing, and Srivasa's kirtan, and at the home of Raghava Pandit, because the Lord is naturally attracted by the love of his devotees. Now this is not a verbatim from Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's a simple summary of what he writes. And that happened during the Chittadahi festival. Lord Chaitanya personally came, or spiritually an expansion of Lord Chaitanya came, so which means Lord Chaitanya came to participate in this wonderful event, although he was still in Puri. Krishnadas Kaviraj has written in Chaitanya Charitamrita that Mahaprabhu permanently resided in the house of Raghava Pandit. Mahaprabhu took Raghava aside one time during a festival and explained to him in some detail that he and Lord Nityananda were identical. See, Raghava Pandit is a very confidential personality. Nityananda Prabhu would also come to eat at Raghava's house with his companions, and all would praise his cooking. This is what happened on the occasion of Chittadahi festival. He was staying at Raghava Pandit's home with his associates, enjoying his prasadam, his cooking. And maybe most famous is this Raghavera Jali, or the bags. Every year when the devotees would go to Puri to take part in Rath Yatra, all year long, he and his wife would prepare small little, there's pages and pages and pages and pages of descriptions of small bags or jalis where she would make very, very special meal or items, cooked items, and it wouldn't go stale. Ladies, it wouldn't go stale. And not just, maha sweets or something. All of it, she knew the art, and so anyway, it's a long description. And Lord Chaitanya would eat a little bit every day because it was bags and bags and bags. So the celebrated Raghavera Jali is of Raghava Pandit. So on this particular occasion, the location of Panihati is it's along the bank of the Ganges, about 10 miles north of Calcutta. Have any of you been to Panihati? Yeah. You're from that place. You're from that place. Well, please bless us. You're from that place. Well, I visited the place, and it's a very special place. I mean, the Ganges, of course, is very special, but Panihati, being the residence of Raghava Pandit, is a very special place. Very special place. Just like the place of residence and birth of many of our great acharyas. It's really easy to just go and spend about 2 hours talking about the places of our great acharyas and how it's so wonderful, so sublime. I'm going to say one of them. A friend, a devotee, recently, because of his job, corporate job, he had to go to Pune. So while he was in Pune, he took the opportunity to go to some places. And one of the places was a place called Mai, M-A-I. It's a place where the Pandavas stayed for some period of time in Maharashtra. It's about an hour and a half from Pune. And he went there. It's kind of forested, not commercial at anything. And what's special about the place, besides the Pandavas stayed there, is there's a Nrsimha. There's two Nrsimha deities, an Ugra Nrsimha and a Lakshmi Nrsimha deity. And he sent me photographs of those places. In fact, a little video of the whole scene. So and he felt, just by, I'm sharing this because he shared with me, just being there, he felt a kind of spiritual vibration that was very, very powerful, palpable. And Panihati is like that, from my experience. So because it's the place of Raghava Pandit, along the bank of the Ganges. So it took a little persuasion. The Majumdar family was reluctant to have Raghunath Das attend this and go visit Lord Nityananda, but they gave their permission, and he went. And when he went, he was shy, or he was keeping himself at a distance, and there was a big crowd, big crowd, and he kept himself at a distance. Immediately, Lord Nityananda, who had never met him before, called him, bring him here. And he scolded him in a funny way. Like a thief, you don't come near me, but simply try to run away. Now that I've caught you, I shall punish you. I want you to feed all my followers chipped rice and yogurt. It's like, I want you to sponsor the Sunday feast. I'm going to punish you. I want you to sponsor the Sunday feast. It's not punishment, it's mercy. And he had wealth. He had abundant wealth. And so he was really happy to be punished like that. And with all the wealth he had and all the people that were with him, they went in all directions and gathered many ingredients, not just chipped rice and yogurt. Here's a little image of chipped rice and yogurt. It's got a few other things in it too. So the plan was to make two kinds: chipped rice with condensed milk, chipped rice with yogurt. And so there was one pot for each of the two kinds. This is what it looked like today. They like decorating the pots, the clay pots, and then decorating the tops of the clay pots. And according to Chaitanya Charitamrita, half, so there are two portions, a big mixing pot. Half mixed with yogurt, sugar, and bananas. The other half was condensed milk, clarified butter, and camphor. So the image is how they do it these days in Panihati, at ISKCON Panihati. And when the people found out, and along with Kirtan, that they were distributing prasad, then immediately so many people came. It's described, the crowd was so big they couldn't all fit on the land, so many of them were in the water up to their waist and eating their 2 pots of chipped rice, yogurt and chipped rice and condensed milk. And by Lord Nityananda's transcendental power, it says by his meditation, he brought Lord Chaitanya. And they were going through the crowd, and Lord Nityananda would take some chipped rice from someone's pot and push it into the mouth of Lord Chaitanya and laugh. And Lord Chaitanya would take from another person's pot another type of chipped rice and push it in Lord Nityananda's mouth and laugh. And then went around the crowd like that, over and over and over and over. And then finally they got them to sit down, as you see in the painting. And they gave them 3 pots each, and they each ate, and they were feeding each other like they're little children feeding someone, or feeding a little child, and showing affection for one another. And when the distribution of the prasadam was completed, then intense kirtan erupted, and for hours the devotees were chanting together, and Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda were dancing. If you remember, it's one of the 4 places where Lord Chaitanya would come whenever and wherever Lord Nityananda would dance. Lord Chaitanya would come transcendentally, and people could see Lord Chaitanya had come. And when the evening set, Raghunath Das came before Lord Nityananda. There you see in the background, there's the Ganga and some boats and many, many people. And he appealed, not directly, he paid obeisances, but he appealed through Raghava Pandit. This was the nature, in addition to being very renounced, as you saw in the first image, he was also very shy. He did not speak directly to Lord Nityananda. He spoke through Raghava Pandit. When he was in Puri, he didn't speak directly to Lord Chaitanya. He spoke through Swarup Damodar. All of his mood and message was conveyed through a medium, through some representative of the Lord. Knowing that Raghava Pandit was dear to Lord Nityananda, he approached through Raghava Pandit. So Raghunath emotionally asked Nityananda through Raghava Pandit how he could possibly gain freedom from his material entanglements and obtain the association of Mahaprabhu. Nityananda, the ocean of mercy, placed his feet on Raghunath's head. How'd you like that? Not bad, huh? There you see the Ganga in the background and many devotees observing the mercy that Raghunath got. Remember, he's from a super wealthy family, and he's tried for a number of years to escape and go in this renounced mood to Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya said, in some time you'll get Krishna's mercy. Here he's getting Lord Nityananda's mercy. And here's what Lord Nityananda said. Oh, here's what Raghunath said to Lord Nityananda. I'm the lowest of men, the most sinful, fallen, and condemned. Nevertheless, I desire to attain shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Like a dwarf who wants to catch the moon, I've tried my best many times, but I've never been successful. No one can attain the shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu without your mercy. Although I am unfit and greatly afraid to submit this plea, please be especially merciful toward me by granting me shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now this is at the end of the Chittadahi festival, but it's the punishment of Raghunath Das is to get Lord Nityananda's mercy and serve all the Vaishnavas. So Lord Nityananda replied, you arranged this feast on the banks of the river, and Mahaprabhu was merciful to you and came here himself to enjoy it. He blessed you by accepting the offering of chipped rice and yogurt. Then, after watching the devotees dancing, he took prasad in the evening. Lord Gauranga came here just to deliver you, and now he has removed any impediments which remained. he will turn you over to Sarup Damodar, and, making you his confidential servant, he will keep you by his side. Go home now and forget your worries. You will soon be able to go to the Lord without any difficulties. Now, the difficulties were still there, but his cleverness overcame the difficulties. He did something that we normally don't do. He made a promise to Balaramacharya. You know the story. He made the promise to Balaramacharya. It was late at night, and Balaramacharya had responsibility on behalf of the Majumdar family to see to the arrangements of the worship of the deity. And the Pujari was not well. So he was up late at night before the morning worship was to begin, going here and there with Raghunath Das to make arrangement for someone to worship the deity in the morning. Because he was a competent and trusted person, Raghunath said, I'll take care, but you can take rest. So Balaramacharya went to take rest. And Raghunath Das went, now's my chance. No one's around. There's no guards watching. And it doesn't say what happened to the deity worship. All it says is he left. And by foot, he traveled not on the main roads, he traveled on little paths here and there. He fasted for just some meals here and there for days by foot to go all the way from the family home to Puri. I forget the number of days, some number of days, day and night, some rest here and there, and made his way to Puri. And there he stayed for 16 years. There's more details, but the Chittadahi festival, as far as I'm concerned at least, it's a wonderful festival. When you have your festival here, the Chittadahi festival will be the distribution of condensed milk and chipped rice, and milk and chipped rice with bananas and camphor, etc., etc. And nice kirtan and hearing the story. But it's there's embedded in the event are some very important for us, very important features. He, Raghunath Das, was very qualified spiritually and materially, very qualified, but he couldn't get Lord Chaitanya's association as much as he tried. With all of his smarts and all of his capabilities, he couldn't get Lord Chaitanya's association without the mercy of Lord Nityananda. The same thing happened to Krishna Das in a different way, of course, but by Lord Nityananda's mercy, Krishna Das Kaviraj got the association of the 6 Goswamis in Vrindavan. He got residence in Vrindavan and released from his worldly affairs by the mercy of Lord Nityananda. And it's a theme that repeats itself in many different lives of great devotees. So we're not great devotees, but the same principle. When Lord Chaitanya came to deliver Braja Prem, love, in the mood of the residents of Vrindavan, Lord Chaitanya came to deliver love of God in the mood of the residents of Vrindavan. He came to deliver that. To get that, how are you going to get that? You have to get his mercy. To get his mercy, how are you going to get his mercy? Lord Nityananda. Now, there are other associates of Lord Chaitanya who also are distributors of Lord Chaitanya's mercy, such as the 6 Goswamis. They, including Raghunath Das, directly received so much mercy from Lord Chaitanya. And the other six Goswamis received so much mercy from Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya directly, there wasn't a Lord Nityananda involvement with Rupa and Sanatan Goswami. Directly, Lord Chaitanya did. But for others, Lord Nityananda had an important role to play. So it's a lesson for us. So what about us? How are we supposed to get the mercy of Lord Nityananda? Let's do it again. To get the mercy of Krishna, you need the mercy of Srimati Radharani. To get the mercy of Srimati Radharani, you need the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. To get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, you need the mercy of Lord Nityananda. How to get the mercy of Lord Nityananda? And the answer, by approaching the Jaghais and Madhais of the world. You get the mercy of Lord Nityananda, thereby get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, thereby get the mercy of Radharani, thereby get the mercy of Krishna. So that's our life. In followers of Lord Chaitanya, we engage in activities where we are giving to persons in the world who are not necessarily pious. Most likely they're something other than pious. But we approach them readily anyways, because that's going to please Lord Nityananda. And when you read Chaitanya Bhagavat, it's filled with descriptions of how Lord Nityananda and his associates approached all kinds of people and transformed them by their ecstatic love, just to induce them to chant the holy name. And similarly, that's what our founder Acharya did. He was told directly, you know the story, maybe you don't know this, some of you may not know the story. Prabhupada was in Vrindavan, residing at the Radha Damodar temple, preparing himself to have completed the translation of Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 1 before going to the West. He was feeling not capable, mission impossible. So it wasn't like well broadcast, but on a couple of occasions, more than one occasion, he explained that Rupa Goswami came to him. Rupa Goswami came to him and said, Swamiji, don't be in anxiety. You will be successful. You'll be successful because I will be right with you. Just take the holy name and the Srimad Bhagavatam and give it to the world, and you will be successful. Don't worry. Don't have any anxiety. So this mood of humility, as we hear from Raghunath Das and from our founder Acharya, not feeling capable, not feeling worthy, but eager anyways for the mercy of the previous Acharya or Acharyas, that's our life. Progressive spiritual life has those elements, and that's a very important lesson. I'm sure you'll hear some more about it next week when you have your Chittadahi festival. Well, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. We have a portable microphone if anybody wants to discuss some points or topics.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you very much. I was thinking, is it possible to get the mercy of Guru Maharaj?
Is it possible to do what?
Get the mercy of Guru Maharaj and advance in the spiritual life?
Is it possible to get the mercy of Guru Maharaj?
To advance in the spiritual life.
I can't follow the rest of it. What is it she's asking?
Is it possible to get the mercy of Guru Maharaj to advance in spiritual life?
To do what?
to advance in spiritual life.
Well, of course. Of course. Why are you asking that question? You know the answer. Why are you asking the question? Is it possible? Or do you mean the option is it's not possible? I don't understand why you're asking that question.
I want to hear more about it.
You want to get what?
I want to hear more.
You want to hear more? Oh.
Yes.
It's something like, is it possible to get sunshine in the summer? The sun is shining. In the daytime, in the nighttime the sun is shining too. But in the nighttime we don't see the sun shining. And the daytime, just before here I was in Florida. They call it the sunshine state. They should call it the sunshine and rain state. Because half the time it was cloudy and then raining. And it wasn't like a light rain, it was like heavy rain. I was surprised. It's June. Half the time it was raining. So when it's raining, you can't see the sunshine. Because the clouds are blocking the sun. So is it possible to get the mercy of Guru? Yeah. Is it possible for the sun to shine? Yeah. But then sometimes we don't feel the mercy, we don't feel connected to the mercy because there's clouds. Because there's clouds. And so you know the metaphor. You could come give classes on it. The metaphor is anarthas, the unwanted things in the heart, they're likened to clouds that block the sun. And reaction to sin, this is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, is likened to mist or fog. And the sun can dissipate both. But is it possible to get sunshine? Yes, as long as the mist and the clouds are gone. And then one gets the sunshine. So is it possible to get the mercy of Guru? Yes. And the effort that's required from our side is to address the unwanted things in the heart. Sometimes the clouds part in our lives, like the influence of the unwanted things subsides and there's like, wow, we get a glimmer. Our acharya is described like this. There's a glimmer of reality that's not covered. And then, again, the clouds form. But the bhakti process, followed properly, having faith, just like this. I like these words of Raghunath. I'm unqualified, this and that and the other. But I'm going to ask anyways. Please, can you give your blessing so I can... So we approach senior devotees. We pray to our great acharyas to get mercy. We pray to Guru to get mercy, along with the proper application of the bhakti process. What do you think? It's all right? Okay. Here's something in relation to Raghunath Das, specifically, because it's on the topic of Panihati, Chittadahi festival. It is said about Raghunath Das that his vows, his spiritual practices were like lines in stone. He's in the topmost stage. He's our Prayojana Guru. And yet he would chant 64 rounds a day. He would offer obeisances to devotees 100 times a day. And he would offer obeisances to deities 200 times a day. And every day. Every day. Because he lived at Radhakund. He would go around and pay his obeisances before the deities at Radhakund. And when he got really old, 92 is pretty old. I don't know how old you are, but you got some time to go before you're at Raghunath Das's stage. He couldn't get back up again. So the devotees had to help him get up. And they would appeal to him, "You're a perfected soul, you don't need to do this." And he would smile and go to the next temple and pay obeisances again. So externally, my point is, he was engaged in all the vidhis of sadhana. And internally, he was at the highest stage. He was getting the mercy because of that abject humility, at the same time, strong eagerness to get the mercy. He was a fit recipient. The clouds weren't in the sky for him. He was getting the mercy. So we have to become like that. I mean, not imitate Raghunath Das, but in principle become like that. Externally, properly engaged in Vaidhi, sadhana bhakti. Internally, engaged in intense longing, eagerness, raga. Come to that stage where we're eager for the mercy. And that's how we get it, through the mercy of Guru. Is it available? For sure. Some internal cleansing is required. That takes a little bit of time and a lot of mercy. Anyone else? Okay. Yes, I see. You got to hit the button.
Thank you so much for beautifully explaining this pastime. So as a devotee, we often have the feelings of receiving mercy directly from the Guru.
Good.
Or the acharyas, like Raghunath Das Goswami. He approached the Raghav Pandit, not directly Nityananda Prabhu. Similarly, our mood is to serve servant of the servant.
Yes.
So not approaching directly to the spiritual master or the higher people. Just approach the immediate authorities or, just serve them and the mercy will come automatically. Yeah. But still, in our heart of heart, sometimes there's feelings of, approaching directly or getting something from the top. That kind of attitude is still there to some degree. So maybe you can clarify something more about that.
Yeah, it's not wrong to have such a desire. Be kind to the higher ups so they're not have too many people tugging on them, etc., etc. And that which will make them happy is by serving those who are intimately connected to them. But those that are intimately connected, they're not, what about them? So that's a service as well. So the rest of us, having some opportunity to speak or ask or connect with in a personal way, we're not setting the other one to the side, that the other one is the main fare of our lives, but from time to time to have meaningful exchanges, that's fine. It's not wrong. I mean, I relate very much to not speaking directly, but being the servant of the servant. Just a little sharing. Somehow, I don't know how it was arranged, but when Prabhupada would come to places, or in Vrindavan or in Mayapur, or he would come to where I was allowed, or I was chosen or something, to go on the morning walks. And on occasion, in his room, But for the most part, I didn't have one personal conversation. I didn't write one letter or get one response to a letter that I wrote because I was told, work these things out with the senior devotees in your GBC until let Prabhupada do his translation work. And I was very happy following that instruction. Now, there are others that didn't. And I didn't even know what they were doing or not doing. I was just following that instruction. That was fine with me because I would hear exchanges that Prabhupada had with different devotees at different times and, like the Prabhupada memories. Like that. So I was very content. We're all different. There's the general advice, servant of the servant of the servant. And when you capture that in your heart, you're happy. And at the same time hankering for some direct communication or connection, that's also nice.
Thank you.
All right. Over here. Ah.
Hare Krishna, Dandvat
Hare
Pranam
Krishna.
Maharaj, Hare Krishna. I'm asking one for curiosity.
What?
That Prabhupada ji opened 108 temple in 60s and 70s, and he gave the temple deity's name Radha Govind ji, Radha Gopinath ji, Radha Shyam Sundar ji, Radha New Vrindavan Chandra ji, Radha Kalchandra ji, Radha Nil Madhav, Radharani first because we need mercy from Radharani. So there is one temple in Chicago where you are coming from, Maharaj. Prabhupada ji gave name Sri Kishore Kishori Temple. So is there any special reason or something?
One devotee was present, Shankar Pandit Prabhu, you know him? Devotee and Prabhupada disciple in Chicago. He was present when that question was asked. It wasn't asked the way that you asked it, but it was normally it's Radha's name is first, because Rukmini Dwarkadish, Radha's name is first, and then Krishna's name. So this is backwards, so why? And he said, Prabhupada paused and said, because she's so attractive, her name is second. Now, Kishore Kishori, I've understood, is a common combination in India. And this is my understanding, he just borrowed from that common combination that's in India, Kishore Kishori. Not the other way around. So he just named the deities Kishore Kishori. But when asked that question, that was the answer. She's so attractive, her name is second. Yes, someone else.
Yeah, thank you, Maharaj, for your wonderful class. My question is again on mercy. You gave the example of sun shining, and the mercy is coming from Krishna, Lord Chaitanya, like that. It's available to everybody.
Yes.
Then what are we, I guess my question is, to get the mercy, when we make an effort in bhakti, it almost sounds like that the mercy is not causeless, because on one hand the mercy is causeless, but then the mercy is tied to our efforts. So then it kind of creates an achievement-oriented mentality, or it may create that more I do, the more mercy I can get.
No.
So I just wanted to understand how to understand that.
It's a clever question. I call this the stump the Swami question. It's not how much you do, and it's not just petitioning. It's the eagerness to receive. When your vessel, your receiver vessel is wide open, it can fill up. And effort is needed, but it's mercy and effort combination. And when the eagerness to receive mercy is there, there it is. That is to say, you can say it a different way. When there's humility, you realize you can't do this on your own. My effort, like Raghunath, my effort is insufficient. He is skilled. I tried many times, many ways. Nothing worked. Now I know I must receive the mercy of Lord Nityananda. And although I'm a dwarf reaching for the moon, I'm asking anyways. Could you please give your mercy so that I can get the association of Mahaprabhu? So that's the receiver vessel. It's not the doer one. The eligibility is receptivity, and that's part of it. Starting point is humility. So flip it around. One who thinks that they're eligible because, fill in the blank, that's a disqualification. Even if the mercy is given, they won't understand it in the way that the person who's eager to receive it understands it and feels it and lives with it. All right? Okay. Any ladies side, anything? Okay. Looks like we're going to end here. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.